Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we are back to LEGO Batman 3 Beyond Gotham. Let us continue our process here. We are going to do the big grapple level next, that's the order, and we are going to do that in free play and see if we can get as much as we can. Sadly, we're not getting everything, and this really is a great example of how the penalty in LEGO games for making a mistake is actually, here is the big grapple, very, very high. Every LEGO game I played up to this point, I've played before, so I know what to do, or at the very least I went to the walkthrough and knew which red bricks to collect to point me to all the mini kits and other collectibles. This game, I'm playing like a normal person. What I've spent over 1 million studs and on characters and minifigs that I shouldn't have spent that money on. Now I am short on studs to get score times 4, which means I'm behind the curve as far as collecting enough studs to unlock everything that needs to be unlocked. And that's what a normal kid in particular who couldn't wait, who didn't understand the process of LEGO games would almost certainly do once. And it's certainly made this experience longer than it should have been. Anyways, the big grapple, we have 1 mini kit already and 1 gold star already, but we're missing everything else. The Adam West Imperil, the red brick, the true superhero, and 3 character tokens. There are 4 mini kits in the first act, and Adam West Imperil and 2 mini characters, and then there's the red brick, 5 more mini kits, and 1 character token. We will start as Batman since it's free play, it doesn't really matter. The whole will give you like 5 characters, but you can switch between any number of characters. Doesn't really work as good as it should. It seems redundant.
You're right, Robin.
Maybe I could break the hold on him the way I broke it on you.
But Robin...
Green Lantern, listen to me. I know we don't know each other very well. We've only met a couple of times.
Robin, it wasn't the speech.
I feel like we're missing cutscenes when we play in free
Destroy
play.
the plasma cannons.
It definitely doesn't feel like we're seeing the whole story. It seems like we're skipping around. Right. Well, here's Plastic Man, so we'll start with this. And see if this just lets him walk right out of here. Yes, it does. Well, that solves that problem. So, being in free play mode, what's that noise? Here's like an item to collect, probably from Batman. Being just free of this first fight, that means as long as we don't do the action that would have freed us in story mode, we can run around here and blow up things and get as much as we can. Things just don't blow up fast enough. There we go. Let's see what this is. This is a Green Lantern platform. So, back to Green Lantern. One of the things I've realized about playing as Green Lantern is they never mention the Green Lantern oath. In Blackest Day and Darkest Night, let something here, something, I don't even know it. I'm not a Green Lantern.
Huh?
But it gets repeated quite a lot in the comic books, and people seem to really love it, so I'm surprised it does not get said even once in this game. You'd think that there would be some more fan service than that. There's a mini kit. I'm finding the laser is about the easiest way to destroy stuff around here. Because of whether something is destroyable seems to be slightly more variable in this game than it is in most. And I want everything that can be destroyed to be destroyed and to be destroyed very fast. Like, what is this? Some studs hidden behind the corner. I'm not sure I particularly like that. Maybe I really don't have a problem with it, though. Well, the real issue is just how high the demands are to get true hero in this game. Much higher than anything else I've ever seen. Nope, I'm not going to do that because that's part of the storyline. See, we're at 16,000 and we've barely got even one little bar. Full. There's a lot of silver studs getting dropped here. Very few gold. That might be the issue in itself. It's just that they've rebalanced how often silver studs versus gold studs versus blue studs happen. In the wrong direction, I would say they rebalanced it, if that's the case. So this thing is just like leaking juice non-stop and he's just always constantly sitting there cleaning it. That's what you call a bad worker. You don't clean the problem and never investigate the source of the problem. You investigate the source of the problem and just stop it, then you clean the problem. This is B-button, dude. Not sure if that's the story section or not, so I'm gonna leave that alone for the moment.
Hey, you wouldn't leave your old pal out of this.
Of course not. We would never leave Adam West. It's not like we've had to leave him multiple times. I feel like the studs disappear a little too fast too. Feels like several slight tweaks have been combined here to create a more difficult playthrough.
Doing work back there. One day you might even become as great a legend as me. Adam West.
Echoey. There. The audio is a bit of a mess too. Here's that gag. We'll come over here with our hover car and do a terrible job at controlling it. It like rotates when you press anything, and then with the right trigger it goes forward. This is awful control. Straight up awful control. Trying to get as many studs as possible. We're at the 3 bars. In theory, we would want to be up to halfway by the time the first act is done. Also, kind of looking for Batman, because if he's not around here, I don't know why I would have picked up the item in this section. Here he is. Will he tell me what he wants?
Thanks, pal! It's even more beautiful than I dared dream.
What's with all the echoes? So, I picked up the item before I even talked to him, but he was just gonna give me a default request, I'm sure. So let's go ahead and move the storyline along. So this was the first thing we would have had to do, and then he would have come over here, and then we could have controlled him. And in mind controlling him, what could we have done? What does this thing want us to do? Oops. Fell out of the universe somehow? No, I didn't fall out of the universe, just fell off the platform. It feels like there's something we can build here. Yeah, that seems like something that we didn't build the first time. Is this device supposed to really work with that? It doesn't feel like it would. Let's go ahead and try this. Now I'm really afraid that that's gonna end that whole section. What would the next thing be? We would use him, and then when we mind control him, let's just mind control him. It's been long enough that I've forgotten how to do this. Alright, so we mind control him, and then it does point us to that. And nothing else apparently. We'll go ahead and pick up these studs, I guess. See, there's even a little line here telling us to go over here and do this. Alright. That's what they want, that's what they'll get. How is this gonna work? It's gonna work like this, doesn't it? There we go. One more. There we go. So we need the green to go up towards the middle. There. So 2 spins here, and 1 spin the other direction that way. That gets all 3 and activates the watchtower. Let's see. There was this with the cat video. And that had a mini kit in it, I believe. And then there was this, which would turn the lights on and off. And then there was this, which was this puzzle that I think we did already. Wow, click 2 of them at the same time to try and save time. Here, actually didn't intend to do that, but it was cool that I did. And then that's what that device is, it's a mini kit. So we hadn't gotten that. So there's the music. Let's go ahead and click this, and click this, and hope it doesn't end the level.
Ow! He didn't let me finish.
It wasn't the speech.
Oh. So, I think I just screwed up that and didn't get that mini kit. So if there's one mini kit remaining, we know what to do. Well, I think I'll jump back into it at the end of this.
The almost limitless energy of all the power rings.
Yeah, if they're gonna just skip to the next act without giving us an opportunity to collect it, that's really confusing. A little checkbox and X for a confirmation is not enough.
Wow! Wouldn't it be cool to carry Earth around in your pocket? I've got the whole world in my pants. I've got the whole wide world in my pants.
Joker, shut up.
I've got to stop that beam.
Pants.
But weren't there 2 character tokens? And what was the thing that I needed to do to...
If Superman fails, we're going to need a plan B.
You've always
to get
got to put
the-
Superman down.
I'm offering to help, Bird Boy. I don't want to end up president of a
Yeah.
marble.
Luther's right, Robin.
So,
We need to
yeah,
rescue
I'm
Green Lantern and
probably
shut
won't
down
even
that
bother
beam.
to come back
Martian
here
Manhunter, can
and
you
do the
extend
first
docking
act
tunnel
again,
once we get the grappler online?
unless it's
Yes,
the
I can
only
do that
mini
from
kit
here.
and thing to
You will
get.
have to activate the
Otherwise, we
grappling
just need
device
to
to
move
secure us to
forward,
Brainiac's ship.
get the red
Slowing
bricks,
up will make her more effective.
and then deal with it once we have the character token detector, mini kit detector, and red brick detector. In fact, we may get the red brick detector right after we've collected almost all, if not all, the red bricks anyways. But yeah, here we are to start with, and as we can see, there was no opportunity to collect that. But oddly, it feels like my number of studs has just skyrocketed. I do not recall having this many studs at the end of the first act. Feels like the game just gave me a bunch, which seems very strange and not something I want. I don't want games to just hand me things when I'm not looking. You don't want to look in your inventory and go, oh, you've been carrying this item for 3 levels because we snuck it in there without telling you. So this is just going to be fighting Brainiac's tentacles. And I think this was the slightly weird level where we swapped back and forth a couple of different groups, maybe? Maybe that's the next level? Breaking a lot of things and it's not mattering. Well, switch over to Green Lantern. There we go. And then we build this. And what is this? This is flash. See, as soon as we start, we are amazingly close to being done. 2, 3. As far as true hero, this was the sushi joke. Of course, nobody made the sushi joke this time. True hero. There's a mini kit. And here's like 3 switches. So is this one of those levels where when we were playing originally we had 3 guys, but now we only have 2, so they reprogrammed it to work with 2? Yes, it is. We had a bit of trouble just figuring out what to do in this section. See, that way, light reflection thing. Get that mini kit. Now, even though we have true superhero, that doesn't mean we can really be lazy about picking up studs. We're still desperately short by about 1 million last time I looked, as far as the stud count. So, getting 1 million may be several levels. It might be quite a lot, actually. And I don't know if there is just going to be a great system to recover from what we have set up here. We're suffering from my my overspending of studs. The game gives you no help with this. And playing a Lego game is almost like a life lesson in saving money, if you consider the studs currency, which they are. So if you play it very fast and loose with your money, you're going to quickly find you don't have enough to do everything you want to do. And even if you do everything as cautiously as possible, you may not have enough to do what you do without putting some extra work into it. Which is to say, it's still not a true representation of the real world, because at least in video games you can put enough effort and time into something to collect everything, where in the real world there simply are other factors where you may never be able to afford everything you want. Let's see, is this a Flash platform? No, this is a Mr. Plastic Man. Because Plastic Man has 2 platforms. That's the weirdness of it. One that turns him into some object, like that turned him into a fishing rod. And then he has a squeeze through a grate platform too. I'm surprised they couldn't find like a different character for the squeeze through the grate, because the Plastic Man abilities are fine. Well, why not make those Brainiac things so that Brainiac could stand on that, shrink himself down with a shrink ray, and then from that point crawl through the grating. Wouldn't that make more sense? and at least have Brainiac's ability be used a little bit more, because it's barely used in this game. Seems like a pretty simple fix there that they could have done. Am I a fast enough character? Nope. I'd really like to figure out how many characters are fast enough, but I suspect what they've done is they've only said Superman and the Flash are fast enough. And everybody else is too slow. Which is kind of selling some of the other characters short. There are characters that may not be as fast as Superman or the Flash, but to activate a treadmill, there's plenty of characters. I think like Cheetah would be fast enough. She's supposed to be pretty fast.
Huh.
See what this does. Draw a little square box here. Mini kit. So I could use the reflector thing, but do I really need to? Nope. Truth of the matter is I could have just ran through this section if I felt like it. That's nice. This area feels like I could just like fly around quite a lot. Maybe I should fly around a little bit. Make sure I've collected everything. Let's just take a quick moment here to look at the world as it is and make sure there's nothing here. Alright. Seems like we're safe. Let's build this and move on to the next section. $222,000 studs. Notice how they've programmed that to be a lot more accepting of the switches, because one of those switches I just flipped right back, but it still accepted it as them both having been switched at the same time. That really is something where for a single player you just want it to succeed always. There's no value in seeing yourself fail at that. We've seen in previous LEGO games me fail at having both switches flipped at the same time just because it takes longer to hit Y and switch between the characters. So I think this thing is rotating somewhat. Is something happening? Okay. So there's bad guys all over here. There's this section over here. And this is all coordinated around this part. So we'll switch to sensor suit, go invisible, come over here, we'll switch to, let's see, him, and then switch to magnetic version of him, and walk up here. We need to go back to, I guess electricity suit will save us there. So we can suck that out. And then giant suit will open this. Step on a switch, which punches that, which then allows Sonic Suit to do this, which we'd already done all of that. Okay, good. Switch over here to sensor suit. Again, switch this. That allows them to walk that way. That allows them to walk that way. And then that puts me right where I want to be over here. Maybe the reason why the True Hero setting is so high is because they were planning to have the entire combo system really work out in such a way that it would get most players a lot of extra studs. That still leaves everybody who's bad at the game, or who doesn't pick up studs after beating up a bunch of guys really fast, in the lurch. That might be me because I'm playing very methodically, but I don't know why the game would punish a methodic player for a Lego game, since the Lego games are pretty much designed to be 100% collectible style games. If you're playing Lego to not collect everything, you're probably, my guess, not the main market. See if we can cut this gold without even being able to see it. Yep. Anything else to collect? Switch over back to Cyborg. It is kind of telling that Cyborg becomes the new Robin really quickly in this game. Cyborg is kind of a secondary Justice League character. He's cool, but frankly, he doesn't ever seem to catch people's attention enough to maintain his own comic that I've seen. Of course, DC Comics, as the New 52 is being ended now and potentially set back to the way things were before the New 52, has really had some dwindling sales. There's some excuses for that, like the fact that they moved their entire offices from one side of the United States to the other. and because of that, they've cycled a lot of creators and taken them off projects and just straight up not continued contracts with a lot of the creators. But even before any of the move setup happened, comic book sales are going down, down, down in favor of not much of anything. The economy is bad, but I would imagine kids are more and more watching YouTube and reading comic books less, watching TV, playing video games. There's a whole myriad of things that comic books used to be the only thing at as far as kids entertainment, and now they have to compete with a lot more. I remember when I was a kid, they were certainly desperate to try to get kids to read, so they would often have us go to the school libraries and read. What am I doing here? Young adult books is what they were called, but frankly they were just books for kids and children's books. But there were no comic books there, no picture books really. They really wanted the kids to actually read the words. They were not focused so much on storytelling as much as spelling in English and understanding what words meant what. But besides these school libraries that had all these books, outside of that, outside of the school environment, I never really got the impression that any kids really wanted to read anything. They were given book reports and it became homework and things people didn't really want to do. So, if anything, they probably drove as many kids, if not more, away from the hobby of reading than they actually drove towards it. Kids should learn to appreciate a good story if they can get a good story is the question. And a school library is so potentially censored, hand-picked books, things that, or just limited in potential things they even have. For instance, I think my elementary school library had maybe 3 shelves, maybe 5 shelves of books, and they weren't big shelves either. They were probably 4 feet tall, 3 feet wide things, and I don't know if even all the books were bound side by side. They may have been all turned in such a fashion so that their faces were facing the outside, which means that would have been an incredibly small amount of books. For an elementary school, I guess it really doesn't matter because how many books is an elementary student really going to read? And I think it was also separated by age. So like a 3rd grader had a section and a 4th grader had a section, which means the books were even more incredibly limited. So not really the level of selection you would want at all if you were going to actually try and make an effort to introduce people to literature. You can't do it by saying, well, we've got 5 books here that we've approved of, and that's all you get to read. That's only going to catch a small percentage of people's attention. I practically hated reading. In fact, pretty much refused to do any of it. And it certainly caused me to suffer quite a bit as far as my enjoyment of reading later, because of things like that. It wasn't until I, many years later, realized that there was, oops, I may have missed a collectible there. There was a section of a style of books that appealed to me, sci-fi books, horror books. I remember particularly that a lot of people in my young school days were only started to get interested in stories at all until when they started reading things like Goosebumps or Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark and things like that, which were considered cool because they were not watered down or strange things. And then they seemed to pretty much, in my high school and junior high times, they seemed to pretty much try to destroy everybody's love for books again. So maybe school's got a secret plot in which they actually don't want kids to be able to read, because they force you to read about the most boring history books and like Romeo and Juliet books and things that are very hard to relate to. Not that we should ignore the works of Shakespeare, but they are certainly something that is probably more of a element that you'll need to study in a college level. Something when you can really wrap your head around the Old English and all of that. Trying to appreciate that in high school, I knew people that said, well, I just don't understand what they're saying at all. That they could not relate at all. And that's really a sad statement when you say Romeo and Juliet is not relatable, because it's about high school aged people falling in love, and that should be very relatable. So there's definitely a lack of choice and a lack of selection caused a lack of love for books. Now, I know previous generations before me had no other entertainment, and because of that, they would read books quite a lot, and they were much more unified in the ways they could believe and think. It wasn't even an option to have a different way of looking at a lot of things. It wasn't even something that would have entered their mind because of the way the society was. So they probably appreciated some of the older books that were written. One of the most awful books that we ever read in high school, and here's a selection bias for sure, is Lord of the Flies, which is literally just a book that was specifically written by a teacher to prove that kids would turn into monsters and destroy themselves and could never function if they were stranded on an island for any amount of time without adults in charge. And it was a direct counterpoint to some of the Robinson Crusoe books that were popular during the time that Lord of the Flies was written, in which kids and I think it's Robinson Crusoe books, maybe some other series of books, but a bunch of kids got on the island and they did manage to somewhat unrealistically form a society and manage to keep themselves alive. I think the truth is somewhere in the same. We've seen Survivor now, so we kind of know that even adults left on an island probably won't thrive or survive that well. But then again, Survivor is a TV show and is designed to be the way it is. But the reason why The Lord of the Flies was mandatory reading when I was a kid was simply because the teachers loved it, and that was pretty much true for all the books. And still to this day, even in 2016, there is a list of the most banned books in school libraries that is online, and it still goes on. There are books that are completely banned from the libraries. There are books that are hidden under the librarian's desk, so that means they won't give it to you, or you won't know it exists, so effectively you can't find it. Back when they used card catalogs, which they probably still do in a lot of libraries, school libraries, there were books that if you looked them up in the card catalog would say "see the librarian," because they were hidden behind the desk, and then the librarian was free, if they so chose, to tell you that it had already been checked out or you couldn't have it. Either way. Now that is school librarians. Most real librarians in public libraries or even private libraries, which most people would never get into, are very much against censorship, but school librarians are pretty much just teachers, and teachers are taught from day one to try to maintain as much control above all else of everything. Let's see. What is this here? Octane. So I just break these, I guess? That was strange. Okay. So I guess that's a really long way, since we're still going on this level, to say that there probably should be comic books and picture books and as many books as possible, and more variety of books in schools. If you have extra books, donate them to your library. Your local library, I would say. Take your kids, I would say, to the local library and let them pick from their own selection. I was taken to a local library a few times, but not quite as much as I probably should have been. And frankly, by the time I was taken to a library, I was already kind of checked out from the whole potential loving of books. A lot of things in my life went that way, where I was already had a bad experience with them the first time that I didn't even want to spend the effort to okay, so you do have to do this in order. So, like, because I had that first bad experience, I didn't even want to try a second time, which is a good example of why we should always do our best to give kids a first good experience, or as many good experiences as possible. Because it really does end up being having a lifelong effect. The fact that just in general, when I was asked or told to do something in school, whether it was math, book reports, reading, writing, the fact that regardless of how well I did, since I wasn't ever a straight 100 kid, and who really is, the fact that there was always a teacher there telling me, no, you made a mistake here, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, you're a B, you're a C, you're a D, you're an F. All of that pretty much left a very bad taste in my mouth, and that's probably just my personality more than every single kid's. I wouldn't generalize every kid's there, and there is a certain point to, yes, you can't just tell them they're always right when they're actually wrong, but I really don't even know the solution there. But it certainly left a bad taste in my mouth and had me pretty determined to not care after a while whether I made A's, B's, C's, or D's. And so once you check out of the system, you pretty much are gone forever. And that certainly was my experience in as far as school. Once enough teachers had said you're bad, which frankly I had a lot of teachers saying I was bad way too much, I said, well, your opinion has now been invalidated in my mind. I don't care what you think. And that just starts a spiral in which I don't care to satisfy what they're asking or demanding, which frankly they're demanding of the students. Which then means they say, well, you're not doing what we're asking, and then I say, well, I don't care what you're asking because you've already said what I was doing wasn't good enough. So it becomes this whole catch-22. Which I guess is a really long way to say I was not praised enough in school. There are definitely some professions I would say we should elect people into. I would say if we drafted and elected people into teaching, if we drafted and elected people into politics, and if we drafted and elected people into policing, we could probably have an overall percentage of better people doing those jobs. Limiting that to just teaching for this conversation, I never had a teacher that I loved that was just awesome, that was good. It was pretty much just a run of very bad teachers. I guess I will say that in my high school years I ran into a couple teachers that were alright. There was one electronics teacher I had that I really liked. I don't know if he really pushed me that far or not. I think I may have just gotten ahead of the class anyways on that, and because of that he may have not had a real big concern there. But that was in high school when I was 1 or 2 years from graduating. There was nobody in elementary school that was good at all. And there was definitely nobody in junior high that was any good. So maybe when I was 14 or 15, I met the one electronics teacher. There were some other teachers that were fine. By the time I got to high school, we'd probably come to an agreement. You just leave me alone and I'll leave you alone. But But yeah, no great experience, and that would have been nice if I had a great teacher. And I probably would have been a handful, and it probably would have taken a lot of work. But nobody was willing to spend that work in my life. That sucks. So from that, I would suggest if you are an adult and you are thinking of careers, maybe think if you'd be a good teacher. And think about it. Give it a try. It's really easy to try being a teacher because you can substitute as long as you have like a college degree. I think you pretty much can substitute. You may not even need that. And then it's just a matter of getting a teaching certificate, which isn't that much, to become a full-time teacher. The job doesn't pay much, and it is full of a lot of political BS that it shouldn't be full of, but it's really one of the few places where you could potentially actually affect society. Alright, so I could go back here in free play mode and try and find the character token and the mini kit. I guess we could do that, but it's so little here, and if we just get the mini kit detector, we know what it is, and the character token detector, we'll know where that is. I kinda have a thought where it is, but I'm just not 100% certain. And where are we on the studs? We have 1,340,000. Let's find the trophy room real quick and see what red bricks we've unlocked at this level. This episode certainly has been one of my older style episodes where I talk about things besides the actual game. Although I started somewhat related to the game. So 2 million is needed for stud times 4. We have studs times 6 for 3 million. Studs times 8 for 4 million. Studs times 10 for 5 million. Disguises we don't have. Gold brick detector we don't have. Mini kit detector we don't have. Quest detector. Adam West Imperil detector. Attract studs. Festive hats. Character token detectors at 800,000. Fast build. Collect ghost studs. Bat fight captions. And there is no health thing here, is there? This is interesting. I haven't been dying much in this game too. They must have just adjusted the damage system or the fighting system somehow, because there's no red brick here at all about extra hearts. There's no invincibility. All of that's taken out. But even though it's all taken out, we haven't felt that it's been missing. I haven't been dying. I've probably only died maybe 30 or 40 times in this whole game. And we've been playing quite a long time. I bet it's a lot more than 30 or 40 times. I've just not noticed it. So, as we move through the rest of the stories, we're going to get the red bricks for everything else. It'll probably be too little too late. And then we will work our way towards 2 million. Not even billion, million. We are at 54.3% done. We have 111 of 147 character tokens, so we're making good progress there. We have 56 of 160 mini kits, so that's strangely, actually, that is kind of strange that we don't have more. We have 196 of 250 gold bricks, which is nice. That points us towards being a lot closer to being done than we thought. We have 5 of 16 true heroes, and we have 5 of 16 red bricks, and we have 18 of 30 Adam Weston apparel. So good progress, good progress. It's just taking us an hour to do every level, which is a shame, particularly when you consider we're going to have to go back and jump into a lot of these levels and get the last few collectibles. Anywho, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment if you want to, and watch every second of my videos. All that helps out. If you want to support me, you can click on my name, Rydo. On the right is a blue button that says support this channel. Click it, make a donation. And if you want to friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.